Hi guys, I'm Sakuri. I'm 30 years old at the time of recording, and I have a story to tell. Trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about some very, very hefty stuff. So if you can't handle hearing about sexual abuse, mental illness, or suicide, I suggest you find something else to watch. Now, I was 14 when I noticed that something was wrong. I'd get angry a lot. I'd yell a lot. I'd demand things go my way, and if they didn't, I saw red. I don't know, it's like I couldn't stop until everyone I knew was angry. 14. This was a trend that continued the rest of my life. Every year it seemed I'd have to find new friends. Originally it was just internet friends, and I managed to hold on to real life friends. At the end of my senior year in college, it was now affecting my real friendships. I was getting angry, demanding, unable to really control myself. That trend died away only because I was far too terrified to make any more real-life friends. I just isolated myself because I couldn't bear the idea that, because of my inability to just let things be, because of my unbelievably fickle and intense emotions, I couldn't maintain any relationships. Even my mom mentioned a number of times that my own sister was afraid to talk to me sometimes because I would lash out, be mean, or otherwise unpredictable. Walking on eggshells became a very, very common thing for me to hear, either from my family or from friends who just had enough and needed to get away from me. We love you. We just can't handle this anymore. This was a common thing. Every year, new friends, every year. Welp, I blew up. Swore a lot, yelled, now I have to find new friends. I ruined a 10-year relationship over it. Now here I am, 30 years old, with a diagnosis that I hadn't received before. Borderline personality disorder. I'd been diagnosed and treated and medicated for depression, anxiety for years and years. It took the edge off, but nothing for my anger, for my outbursts, for the controlling and manipulative attitudes. February 2021, I attempted suicide in a hotel outside Nashville, Tennessee. While I was in the treatment facility, I was diagnosed with ADD and bipolar type 2, given more medication for that, and I thought, finally, at long last, I have the pill that cures what ails me. I can get back to my regular life. 3 days after getting out of the treatment center, I blow up at a friend. And I was angry. These fucking pills were supposed to help me. Why am I like this? Why am I such a worthless pile of shit? Why can't I be better? Worse than the blow up. I'd think, well, there goes that friendship. I may as well sit here and wallow in my misery and loneliness forever. No more new friends. Fuck it. And I'd just given up trying. I had good friends who were upset yet forgiving about the blow-ups. They knew I was mentally ill, and they were willing to shoulder that burden for me. What they weren't willing to shoulder was me giving up and just being a bastard, and I started losing friends. Late November 2022, I lose a relationship that I cared deeply about, because I admitted to the person, among other things, that I hadn't been truthful about the progress I was making mentally. They were understandably angry and sick of me not being truthful to them or myself, and the relationship officially ended a few days later with that person citing trust. It pushed me deeper into despair, and my symptoms started to flare to the point that twice, my friends group pulled me aside and said, this shit has to fucking stop. But it didn't stop because I didn't take it seriously. I'd never, ever had a good track record of taking my mental health seriously. So I blow up one more time because something happened that made a change in my life, and one thing I couldn't handle was change of any kind at all whatsoever. That blow up led to 2 very close friends of mine no longer being friends, no longer trusting me, and I lost a lot. I almost lost all of my friends. I almost lost it all. But due to a few of them who were willing to pull me aside, a small few of them were willing to pull me aside and say, this is now critical. We cannot do this anymore. We cannot go through this again. You told us before you were going to fix this, and you didn't. If anything, you got worse. You need to do something, and you need to do it now. And they were right. They were absolutely right. I lost people I loved. I lost access to people I truly love. And I was told straight to my face that I loved you, but I have become apathetic to you out of self-preservation. I mean, what a horrible thing to hear for someone you care about deeply. So then you start thinking, well, obviously I don't care about anybody if I can treat them so poorly. So that Monday, I took the day off work, and I went to the emergency room. Got placed on high suicide alert, was released to my parents' custody. While I was at the ER, the social worker that I worked with told me about a partial inpatient program called dialectic therapy that took place during the day. 3 weeks to help me get the help I need. So I took the pamphlets into work the next day, sat my boss and my HR rep down, explained what I needed to do for myself. That evening, I had the paperwork for short-term disability in my hands. I entered the program on February 2nd, 2022. Had a chance to meet with the psychiatrist who ran the program. She asked me a bunch of questions about my anger, my emotions, how difficult it was to regulate them or to keep any decent friendship. And she sat back. And she said, "Have you ever heard of borderline personality disorder?" She pulled out a book and started to read me. She literally started to read my personality, my flaws, the things I hated about myself, and they were all there in that little book. She had me go home and watch a 45-minute video about BPD with my parents, and when the video was over, my mom said, "It was like they described you for 45 minutes. My dad agreed, and over the next few days, several friends who elected to watch the movie agreed. I am BPD. I have BPD, and I have it bad, for whatever that means. It should have been scary. I thought I'd be angry. Great! I have depression, anxiety, ADD, bipolar type 2, and now BPD. What else can be thrown my way? But instead I was relieved. I had an answer. For the first time, I had an answer that made sense. No one was trying to shove pills down my throat to make me feel better. The answer was, this is only fixed with therapy, learning new techniques and tools, and working on them. Then we started delving in deeper. Here's where I warn you once again, trigger warning. When I was 14, I was molested by my best friend's dad while he was drunk. It's widely accepted in the psychology world that sexual assault is a prime factor for someone developing borderline personality disorder, and I was sitting in the bedroom with my friend. She decided she wanted to run to the gas station to get us some snacks. He came in while she was gone, put his arm around me, said, "Hey, so you're leaving for another city, huh?" I was moving. "You know, I'm really going to miss you around here," and then put his hand into my crotch. And then I had to pull myself away from him. He had a tight grip on me, trying to do whatever he wanted to do, and I was able to get away. So I swung the door open. His wife was standing there with a basket of laundry, and the moment she saw him, he let go and started chuckling. My pants were down, so I quickly pulled my pants up and ran out of the house. I remember when I started getting very angry, very controlling. Not too long after that happened, to the point that friends, online and in real life, had a hard time being around me. I didn't have many friends, just because I didn't know how to make them. I always knew something was wrong, and I always had a hunch it was tied to my sexual assault. They call that PTSD up to the point, but now I had an actual name for it. I had also developed bulimia nervosa, ballooned from 210 pounds up to 300 pounds in 2 years. Eating $40 worth of McDonald's food in the parking lot at 3 in the morning, opening my door, vomiting on the ground, then going and getting more food, hating myself every step of the way, crying the whole time. And so we now have a full list of everything. Depression, anxiety, bipolar type 2, ADD, borderline personality disorder, bulimia, and goodness knows what else. And then I started getting angry. Why, after 16 goddamn years of therapists, did I only now at age fucking 30 get this diagnosis? The answer is, the acceptance of borderline personality disorder is anything other than a catch-all to throw at someone when they can't diagnose, is recent. For the last 20 years, BPD is what you diagnose someone with when you've thrown every diagnosis and pill out there at a person and they're still not better. Only very recently has a therapeutic process been pioneered called dialectic therapy to help those with the problem. After all, it's not a disease, it's a disorder. What's more, it's a personality disorder. It's not an illness, it's your personality that's been pounded into place due to past trauma. I had past trauma. The molestation doesn't even graze the surface of what had happened to me, so it made sense. My previously diagnosed PTSD was now given the names bulimia and borderline personality disorder. Now, let me tell you about borderline personality disorder. It's commonly described as a mental illness marked by unstable moods and impulsive behavior. People with borderline personality disorder have problems with relationships, family and work life, long-term planning, and self-identity. Symptoms include intense bouts of anger, depression, and anxiety that may lead to self-injury or suicide, drug or alcohol abuse, excessive spending, binge eating, or risky sex. While some persons with borderline personality disorder are high-functioning in certain settings, their private lives may be in turmoil. Most people who have BPD suffer from problems regulating their emotions and thoughts. Impulsive and sometimes reckless behavior, and unstable relationships. The diagnosis of borderline personality disorder is frequently missed, and a misdiagnosis has been shown to delay or prevent recovery. Bipolar disorder is one example of a misdiagnosis, as it also includes mood instability. There are important differences between these conditions, but both involve unstable moods. For the person with bipolar disorder, the mood changes exist for weeks or even months. The mood changes in BPD are much shorter and can occur even within the day. Officially recognized in 1980 by the psychiatric community, borderline personality disorder is more than 2 decades behind in research, treatment options, and family psychoeducation compared to other major psychiatric disorders. Borderline personality disorder has historically been met with widespread misunderstanding and blatant stigma. However, evidence-based treatments have emerged over the past 2 decades, bringing hope to those diagnosed with the disorder and their loved ones. And that's exactly what this diagnosis brought me. Hope. I have hope now. Hope for a better me. Hope that I can repair the relationships I've harmed. An ability to accept that what is, whether I like it or not. And take all these pieces together to make a better self, not only for me, but for others. If you ever felt the way I do, I urge you to seek a doctor. Emergency room, family doctor, or best option, a psychiatrist. If you can get in to meet one. Talk to them about your emotions, your feelings, your troubles, and above all else, trust them. There are options now in this day and age to help bring you to a you you've always wanted to be. I can only hope by me talking about my issues even a little bit helps you to know that you're not alone and that there's hope for you. If I can become a happier me, then so can you. I believe in you, and I love you. Thank you.